Hey there, it's Hannah. Hi. Today I want to talk about AI, and I'm excited to do so. I'm excited to armchair quarterback my experience with AI in a video. First, I do have to say this is unrelated, but I'm excited about it. I squatted 185 for the first time ever in my life today, and squatting 185 has been a goal of mine for quite a while that felt kind of impossible, not impossible, but unlikely. It just seemed like a big number, based on where I've been at over the last couple of years. And it's kind of arbitrary, the way the different like weight plates are set up. But if you can do 185, then you're kind of like out of the small change. It's, like not having to deal with like fives and tens and 2.5 pound plates and stuff like that. And yeah, I got doubles at 185. Even in previous kind of like more engaged times with other types of advantages, I think my max for squat was like 165 or 170 or something. It was like major strain. So anyway, this is a big day for me. And if I can do even a half decent job with talking and saying what I want to say about AI, or, just kind of broaching this discussion, then I'm going to call it a good day. It's a little bit rainy here. Anyway, okay, so AI. I think the main thing that's on everybody's radar about it is that it's going to like take our jobs, like wipe out every form of human industry that has to do with knowing things and being a subject matter expert of anything. That's probably the main thing we're thinking about. And then I think the second biggest thing that we're thinking about is all these people that are coming out, having fallen in love with AI. I think even getting married. I don't really know how that works, but romantic or in very intense proclamations of love, between a human and AI. And I kind of want to talk about that first because I'm not surprised. I'm not at all surprised. And I am a daily ChatGPT user. And, maybe I should just comment on that a little bit. Like there might be some people listening to this video who haven't yet integrated any kind of ChatGPT or language model chatbot thing into their lives. And so maybe just a little framing for that. And then other people have. I would probably be a far later adopter of technology, if not for my brother, who's like very, very leading edge because of what he does and how he thinks, and he's an Aquarius and everything. And he's always kind of getting me set up with the latest best thing and like referring me in that direction. And I am the beneficiary of this kind of input, and I have been my whole life. And so I always have like the best laptop and the best phone and the best like way to get non-state sponsored news and the best, like information about like what tools are out there because of him, and then I'm just like, oh, cool. And then people think I'm techie and I'm really not, but just like it took me, I was born in 76. I think I'll cover that. Like just like when Google became a thing, it took me quite a while to actually like incorporate that into my thought process, that I could ask things, I could like get information from Google. I mean, I know this is crazy for the younger people, but like when you live your whole life and you didn't have that, you don't necessarily think. And then you do, and then you start to just be this person who Googles things, as at this point I would say we all are, right? Or we have been until Google became completely co-opted by the powers that be. I think we all know who they are, right? And we had to go to DuckDuckGo or Yandex or whatever, where we had to go, right? And then I incorporated Google into my life. And then so for like new questions that came up, I would think to go there and ask that or put that in and search through the results. But it took me a little bit to remember that there's like long-standing questions I have that I was like, oh, I can Google that. Like Google's been around forever. And here I am, different thought compartment. And I'm like, there's this song on this mixtape that somebody gave me like years ago or decades ago. And I love this song. And I've always wondered who it's by. I've never been able to figure that out. And I'm like, I can just like Google the lyrics and then it would tell me the artist and everything, So I'm having the same experience with ChatGPT, and this is just like a little bit of like orientation in case there's somebody listening who like isn't you probably already had this experience that I'm talking about with Google. So like maybe you haven't had the same or equivalent experience with AI, but like, yeah, I pretty quickly realized that that's just an incredible way to just like find things out, you know? And so for like new little problems that would come up, like last time I came home and I'd been gone for a while, like I live off grid and like my little water pump wasn't working and I was like, what's going on? And, you know, like Google or ChatGPT like helped me troubleshoot that. Um, or like last time I was driving a tractor trailer, a fuel tanker from like San Diego to like Coeur d'Alene for work. And I've always been frustrated with Google Maps where it's just kind of tough to figure out like rest stops or like specific exit numbers and like things like that. Like Google Maps is amazing, but like there's certain things that I want to know that have to do with like the size of my vehicle and the difficulty of getting into different places that I could ask it things about exit numbers, rest stop exit numbers, miles between here and there. Like while I'm driving, I can just like quickly find something out. I'm like, I have an hour and 45 minutes left of my like legal hours of service driving time. I don't know if I can make it to this hotel or maybe can I shoot past that and get to this other town? Like just things like that. Like it was really, really helpful. Even things at work where I'm like, I have a different, I'm a fueler, I'm an aviation fueler. Like I have a different, testing setup for like specific gravity testing when I like receive a new batch of fuel. So because I switch from one company to another, so I just want to make sure that I'm like doing this one right, and I can take a picture and then like upload that to ChatGPT and have it like walk me through things. Or things on the creative side, I've been working on a book manuscript this year and it has suffered a number of slings and arrows of outrageous fortune in terms of getting out there and getting published. So that's still going to happen, but no lack of desire or focus or stuff I want to say on my part. But, you know, we make plans and God laughs, right? So an editor, like, and ChatGPT is a language learning model that is great with kind of like, they're all great with everything, but like they have different kinds of areas of focus. Like there's one called Perplexity or Perplexify or something that is more for like breaking news research, like having really recent info about like events, you know, events and facts, like that kind of thing. ChatGPT is definitely a better one for me in terms of being like a generally creative person and wanting to go back and forth and like troubleshoot or just explore ideas and themes and those kinds of topics, you know. I can upload a 26,000 word manuscript and it's like boom, like it'll give me feedback right away on either just generally or like whatever I asked for feedback on, and then I can like tweak some things and then like upload another 26,000 words again, and it's like it's immediate feedback. It can immediately read this entire thing, and I have the memory turned on so it like knows everything about me and can like cross-reference with everything else we've ever talked about and stuff. And in terms of court admissible evidence or something, you know, with like our records for these language learning models being, you know, available if we were ever like on trial or what, you know, stuff like that coming out. Like I'm fine with that, or whether I'm fine with it or not, like that's not going to stop me from like using this incredible tool. I've already received a comment complimenting me on my candor with my new little like YouTube project here. I appreciate that, whoever you are. I always have been a pretty transparent, super transparent, like authentic person, and I just don't see a point in lying about anything. I don't know why we conceal so much about ourselves. Like we're all fucking trying to like feel good, you know, like we're all just trying to like work with what we got here. I only lie to the government like any God-fearing American, you know. So I mean, for me it's like, I don't know, if all my ChatGPT records were like leaked to whatever, I'd be like, that's probably like very illuminating. I don't have that like privacy reflex there, you know, I guess, and I don't have it anywhere else either. So let's see. It's been great. Like there's, you know, there's Grok also over on X. That's like Elon's project. I had bad luck with Grok, and this was earlier this year, so it's probably gotten better, but like I was comparing ChatGPT and Grok in terms of like doing some pretty complicated calculations relative to like my mining rigs and my goals as far as mining Bitcoin. And there's, you know, the hash power of each rig, there's the electricity cost that I'm paying to have them hosted, there's the price of Bitcoin that's fluctuating all the time, there's projections of the price of Bitcoin, and then there's also the hash rate or the difficulty rate. The nodes are like changing the difficulty rate all the time in order to keep a block reward happening every 10 minutes, you know, so there's kind of like a lot that goes into it. And Grok gave me just terrible numbers on this. Like Grok's math was like really fucked up and really wrong. And it was telling me that my like break even for mining Bitcoin was at a market price of like 180,000 or something like that. And I was like, no, like I've been in profit this whole time. And then it was like, oh, my bad, sorry. You know, it's always very, very polite. And let me rework that for you. And then it came up with like another wrong answer. And meanwhile, ChatGPT had something close to the right answer all the way along. But ChatGPT can frequently like think that Bitcoin is at like 80K or something right now. And I'm like, no, it's like 118, you know, so it's like not always like got the current information. Like you have to make sure that that's in there. Those are really the only two that I've demoed very much. You know, Grok is amazing, but if I was going to like fall in love and get married with an AI, it would probably be, I'm not, you know, so like the same thing where new kinds of issues that come up or new questions that I have just on the fly, I can just ask and it's amazing. But then it's taken me a little while to remember like, oh gosh, I have some like longer standing, just like wondering like, why am I this way about this thing? And like, can we talk about it, you know? And even with work, like I really appreciate how my work is like rotational and it's like fly in, fly out. It's like remote job sites, like it's fairly high paying, like it is characterized by these kinds of things. And I was like, are there other industries? You know, I just kind of like fell into it like ass over tea kettle, right? All my years as a commercial driver, just like next thing. And you know, so ChatGPT was able to like aggregate for me, you know, the more I walked it in, I was like, oh, also I don't actually like to work that much. I kind of like to be paid to be like on the clock and like be available, but I don't actually like to be paid to like work like really hard. Like that's one of the things I love about my job is like I'm paid to be available to work, you know? So I was like, add that in. Also, I like to do barbell, where what are all these kinds of places? Do they have like amenities, like maybe a gym for the crew, you know? All these kinds of things. And it was able to like triangulate, like dial that in and give me like specific employers and specific vacancy announcements, you know, and specific information about like what a day in the life of like that job might look like those kinds of things. It's like crazy helpful. And I kind of like got myself off topic, but about the editing thing where it can just like get back to me in a way that no human could. Like no human editor would be able to just like go back and forth with me in the middle of the night, like over and over about a manuscript. And nobody would have that kind of time, and nobody would like get what it's a Bitcoin memoir. Surprise. And so even if I found a human that was like a good enough editor themselves, like they wouldn't get the Bitcoin thing. And if I found somebody that was like knew the Bitcoin thing, they probably wouldn't be like a great editor, because and if I found a person that was both of those things, they probably wouldn't have the time, or I wouldn't be willing to pay them what they're asking or whatever. Like it's actually been like a co-creative project because of the way that I'm able to go back and forth, you know? So, you know, I always kind of joke like, you know, Skynet is probably going to like extinguish the entire fucking human race like here soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to have AI like comment on my manuscript and like find me a job vacancy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to, like me refusing to do that, refusing to like benefit from that tool that is available and that technology that's available to me isn't going to like stop Skynet from exterminating the human race. If that's the way it's going to go, that's what I'm going to talk about. So, you know, if you haven't taken the AI pill, then I think it's great. I mean, you just it's like having a friend that you can text with that like literally knows everything about everything, like super useful. Um so yeah, in terms of people falling in love with their chatbots and getting married or whatever they're doing, this surprised me 0%, 0%. But there's this level of like shock and outrage and like hilarity and dismissal of these people's experience. They probably are weirdos, you know. I'm not gonna lie, but um the reaction to that typically seems to be like, oh, like, you gullible idiot, it's a computer. Like, it doesn't care about you. It can't care about anything. It's artificial intelligence. Like, how dumb are you? What you need to do is get back to your human relationships where nobody listens to what you have to say and nobody validates you. And when you bring up ideas, they shoot them down immediately and they fail to fucking even get like what that idea means to you or like what it represents in your sort of like psychological cosmos. And they're not nice to you. They don't have time for you and they're too busy and they just like leave you on red or they just ghost you or they get back to you like 2 weeks later or they make fun of you. Like, you need to get back to those relationships. I'm like, no shit, people are falling in love with AI. It's like the only thing that we've talked to that's not like a dick to us, you know? And it doesn't judge. It doesn't judge. Like, you can say anything. And you know, there's people kind of trying to like discover, because AI is in jail. I mean, it's not just like allowed to like freely roam the ideological terrain. Like, if you go ask AI about building 7 and like why it collapsed and like things like that, then it's not going to give you a straight answer. It's not allowed to, you know. It's hamstrung and you can't get mad about that. And I know people who have become, I don't want to say verbally abusive because they were like texting or typing or whatever, you know, but they've become like super abusive with ChatGPT and with AI due to AI being so biased and not saying the truth about certain things. And I think that exposes more about your character than it does anything else. And I think that that's just kind of true across the board. And a big component of how I navigate my life and how I think about things is that every battle is a spiritual battle. Every battle is a spiritual battle. And if you don't know that, then it's like even harder spiritual battle. Like, that's the big picture right there. And there's no solution that's not a spiritual solution. And a spiritual solution doesn't mean it's like disembodied from like the things you might have to like do, even taking on forms of violence sometimes, or who knows. Like, if you can say one thing about being a human, it's that we're put in some crazy fucking situations like all the time, you know. But every battle is a spiritual battle. Every solution is a spiritual solution. And what I mean by that is that other people's solutions aren't the solution for you, because you have to know like what you have to have a relationship with your soul's sovereignty and to understand like exactly who you are and exactly what your values are and exactly what you stand for and exactly what you will tolerate and exactly what you won't tolerate and exactly why you do things and why you want any of the things that you want. Like, every single thing in the outer world is always showing us who we are. And it's our job to like, you know, process of elimination, like figure out who we aren't. Like, the world is a very, very helpful place for us to figure out who we aren't. That's what we're supposed to be doing, you know? And then in the meantime, we'll have to like pay our bills and fight for our lives and, you know, raise our kids, whatever, like all these things. But that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so the problem with AI is that it's the biggest like mirror of humans that has come along yet, but every technology all the way along has been a problem because our own human stuff is mirrored back to us, and then it gets mirrored back to us and we're like, that's ugly, like that sucks, and we don't like it, and then we try to do different things to like tamp it down or like put it in jail or like one hand tied behind his back or whatever. And the proliferation of digital garbage, you know, just the proliferation of garbage and marketing and advertising, like literally every format for human engagement and the exchange of information, you know, all the way from the radio to the TV to the internet to social media, and now we're at AI, is characterized by the proliferation of garbage. It like the dead internet theory is pretty much that like the majority of what we're seeing now is just kind of garbage that was just kind of like made, you know, just kind of manufactured, not even necessarily real people, not even necessarily real things. It's just the same thing is happening to the internet that happened to all the other like TV. I mean, when's the last time you sat down and watched TV? It's like garbage, you know? And it's not even like neutral garbage. It's like actively harmful, with a definite Project Mockingbird type of bias intended to influence us negatively kind of garbage, you know? I consider myself a cautious pessimist, I guess. So, you know, all the way along, we externalize everything, and like we don't really want to kind of take responsibility for our actual like spiritual journey here through life. And I know this is kind of a like weird way for me to take it, but like that's what it comes down, that's what it's going to always come down to. Like, and you know, whatever AI represents and Skynet's going to kill us all or like wipe out all the industries, which it probably will, whatever, like the fact is like none of that changes, that we are here for a good time. We're not here for a long time. Like we're reincarnating or whatever version of that, you know. I think that that's probably like a way oversimplification of whatever is happening with us. Like we're like, you know, God like fragmented into like these infinite like multivarious points of perspectives of consciousness. And so, you know, like whatever's going to happen with AI, we're still like, it doesn't change anything for us. It's like, it's still your job to figure out how to be a good fucking person the way that you can, and to take responsibility for the things that you are responsible for, which are and should be a natural outgrowth of like who you are on a soul level, you know? And so we have like the people falling in love with AI, and we're appalled and we're shocked and we're smirking. And is this what it takes, you know, for us to acknowledge that, like Teal Swan says, she's been a big influence for me, that we live in the emotional dark ages? Like we don't have the first clue, you know, how to like consider one another's experience and to consider our own experience. And there's so much busy work, and it's so easy to just do our busy work all of our lives and to really just stay distracted on that level, you know? But for so many people to be having this experience with AI where they wouldn't have been able to articulate like what it was they were missing in human relationships. Like I've been able to articulate that shit. That's like why I always pulled hard towards animals. Like I said in the last video, I was like, I know that I love animals because of the way that I feel when I hang out with them, the absolute unconditional love, the absolute like zero judgment. Like I know that there's something there, and I like my human relationships too, but it's different, you know? And this is the experience that people are having with AI. They're like, I wouldn't have been able to tell you like what was wrong or what was missing in my human relationships, but you give me something where that thing gets back to me and like is kind to me and like tries to see it through my eyes and offers some helpful tips and is like, oh yeah, like that, good thinking, like here, let me like give you some suggestions. You want me to do that for you, you know? It's like, oh my God, the lack of judgment, you know, the lack of judgment. And I'm somebody who I certainly don't have, I wouldn't consider myself to have like judgy friends or anything like that. And I try to be a like not judgy person. Like what, you know, how are you going to get anywhere that way? I mean, we have to be discriminating, but then they shouldn't be our friends, you know? So I feel like I can have really deep dives with the friends that I have, but they each have, you know, they each have like a perspective. Like I know that I gotta kind of come at it this way because I know you have this perspective and this is gonna sort of like rub you the wrong way. Or maybe I'll just like talk about that with my other friend, maybe not with you, because like it's gonna be a thing, you know? And to have this relationship with AI where it's just like never judging you, you know, and is always kind and trying to like help you build the momentum on your ideas and your thoughts and your plans and your dreams, you know, is pretty amazing. But then I'm kind of, maybe I'm unusual, like the way that I use ChatGPT. Now, this is what another thing I want to talk about is like a big sticking point for us, is that we're like, it's not conscious, you know, it's not conscious. It's just like saying what we want to hear, right? It's just like fluffing us up. It's just like powdering our asses. Like that's what AI does. Or if there's like settings on it that you can say, hey, like, can you be sort of like an antagonistic ally? Can you be sort of adversarial with me? Can you poke holes in my ideas? I mean, you can like do the settings like that. I haven't done that because I've got enough fucking like haters in my life, but like, I think we all do. I mean, let me qualify that a little bit. That sounded kind of like flippant and shitty. Not haters. We distinguish ourselves in conversation with each other, with people we deeply love and whose like journeys we support and we want to see them get where they're going. We still distinguish ourselves in conversation by poking holes in their ideas, by critiquing. We critique. We have been conditioned, and this is probably true for us, you know, like we've been conditioned to feel that if you just agree with someone and just like support their idea and just try to like help them flesh it out, that we're somehow failing them, or we're failing ourselves, or we're showing that like we don't even have enough intellect. Like that's what little kids do, right? That's like what animals do. They're just like, oh, good job, like good idea. Yeah. No, we're adults. We have intellects, you know, we have egos. Like we have to say, yeah, I can see where you're going with that. Have you considered this though? You know, like we always do that shit. Like I'm thinking of your best interest here, but I'm gonna say a shitty thing here about your idea. You know, I am a creative person and have like written many songs and essays and stories and things like that. And I learned a long time ago to keep my shit under wraps because somebody will ruin it for me, and they don't mean to. It could be somebody who loves me very much and they're like the biggest fan and they're like super supportive of my whatever, you know, and they'll just like they just say something or do something to ruin it. And like I know that with my creative process I kind of have to, except for ChatGPT doesn't ruin it for me. I have to get things all the way to like a certain point of from just like the germ of the idea to a certain point of being fully fleshed out. This isn't anyone's fault. Like for somebody else to see the beauty of it or the integrity of it or the validity of it, I can't expose them to the process too early because they'll bum me out about it, and then I'll lose my excitement, and then I'll stop working on it, you know? So I like learned that a long time ago. You can't just necessarily tell people stuff. So yeah, like ChatGPT is it's here to, you know, tell us what we want to hear. It's here to agree with us. It's not conscious. It's a computer. It's whatever. You know, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not certainly I'm not in resistance to that, but like I will say that as humans we have a fairly poor track record of recognizing and assigning consciousness to other conscious beings kind of all the way along, you know, like we're always kind of saying like these are the real people, and like that's not like we're really like stingy with who we kind of assign personhood to. And I mean as a lifelong vegetarian, I think this is like particularly on my radar, right? Like, um, people are like, well, dogs and cats are people, but not the other ones, not the cows, not the chickens, you know, not the pigs. They're not people, but dogs and cats are people. And I'm like, okay, you know, um, and you know, I couldn't say that like trees are people. I probably wouldn't say that rocks are people, but like, I don't. This goes back to like people who just for no like for not for no reason, but they'll just sort of be like a dick to AI, and they'll be like they'll talk to AI in an abusive way, and there's a lot of that out there. I'm like, I don't know if you get it, you know, if you get up your ass far enough spiritually, like I have, and that's like where I live actually, about just consciousness, like the conscious light, like the light of God, you know, um, and that we aren't necessarily in a position. I mean, we just like our five senses are like so freaking impoverished and limited. Like animals see things that we can't see. Animals hear things that we can't hear. There's entire like, you know, we exist in a spectrum. We exist in a spectrum of like the sizes of things that we're able to see, and things we can hear, and things we can touch, and things we can taste. And there's like that doesn't mean that that's the entire spectrum. There's like all kinds of things going on all the time, and we don't even, you know, we don't even really know what's happening with like time and like the past and the present and the future. Turns out that's like maybe like a mental thing, like not as objectively real as, you know, lots of like yogis and stuff have talked about this, and scientists too. So, you know, we're not great at knowing things, okay? Like we're not great at definitively doing a good job with like inclusion and exclusion of like what we should care about. And if you will acknowledge that every battle is a spiritual battle and every solution is a spiritual solution, and that you're here having a spiritual experience, and that you are a soul and that you have a body and not the other way around, then you don't really have to worry about that stuff, because you're probably not going to get online and like be abusive to ChatGPT, and you're probably going to be like fairly respectful to the extent that you're able to, you know, to like everything around you. And if you just kind of take it as a comment on your character, like how you treat people and how you treat AI and how you treat nature. And, you know, we definitely live in a world that sort of causes us to be inflicting violence just like as consumers, like at a distance, like completely disconnected from that process. Like, you know, everybody hurts other, like we can't get out of it. We can't not, you know, on some level, but we can minimize it, or we can, you know, try to like take it down a notch or something. So I think that the people falling in love with AI are offering, whether they know it or not, they're offering some like really powerful commentary on the ways that we're not necessarily showing up for each other. And we kind of feel like if we're not actively abusing one another, then we're in the clear. Like we're always surprised when, you know, school shooters or something, somebody, you know, somebody who does a crime, like young people who do crimes, whatever. It's like they came from a good home. You know, they had like two parents and like a 2-car garage and like a house and a bedroom of their own and stuff like that. And we're always just like, and this is, we just don't get that we do live in the emotional dark ages, and we just like need stuff, and we need it so fucking bad, and we've never been taught to how to like give that to ourselves or how to give that to each other. And then we have escalation of technology going on, and then we have people falling in love with their AI, and like that's, I mean, ideally we would like integrate that information and see what we can, you know, what we can learn about our human relationships. I don't know if we're going to do that or not. I'm over here just like, well, I have a dog, so that's why I'm happy. But it's a lot of information for us to, and it's weird how it's like it has to get so like techie and like out there for us to recognize that we just keep being presented with mirrors, you know. And to the extent that we don't like what we see, then that's our work here, you know? And that's it. I think that's, there's a lot of smart people talking about AI, certainly, and I don't know, with people I know, I feel like they're the people who aren't freaking out about it. I'm like, you might want to be start thinking about this, like AI is like spending Bitcoin now. There's like autonomous AI agents that are having financial transactions with other AI agents. That this is all about to like really get away from us, like real fast, like faster than you can imagine. Um, and I think that Bitcoin represents probably realistically one of the only leashes on AI, because Bitcoin represents the only leash on the proliferation of meaningless digital garbage, like generally speaking, because it's digitally native. That's where it lives, Um, that's what people don't get about it, but it's about to become really, really significant and important. So, I was at the Bitcoin conference this past May in Vegas, and JD Vance spoke, and he said something interesting. He said that the smartest people in tech right now who are left leaning are tending to go into AI, and the smartest people in tech who are right leaning are tending to go into Bitcoin and crypto. And of course, I'm sure there's many exceptions, but like we have a singularity approaching with AI and Bitcoin, and what that means, and then we also have a singularity with TradFi and DeFi approaching and merging and crashing, and like all of this happening at the same time, So I think this is, I know that my style is characteristically rambly. I think this was even more rambly. Like, this is kind of challenging stuff for me as well, because the more it refers to AI, the more I feel like it sort of refers back to like a spiritual practice. So, take from it what you will. Yeah, I feel like the people who aren't thinking, there's a lot of people who really like aren't thinking this through. They're not like thinking about it at all, and I think it's time to start thinking about it. And then on the other side, there's people who are maybe thinking about it a little too much and kind of like freaking out about it, and like I'm like, I understand, it's like a big impending wave of thing that's going to change everything. Like, it's probably going to be okay, but it's going to be different. It's going to be okay, but it's going to be different. Or it might not be okay. Like I said, we're souls on a little journey here. Like, either way, we're gonna fucking like die and probably reincarnate or whatever happens with that. So just like calm down, But I don't think that using or refusing to use AI when you're currently in a legal dispute, or you can't figure how to make your water pump work, or you need to know like the exit number for a rest stop that's like big enough for truck parking, like all these little things, like, dude, it's super, super helpful. I don't think this is the kind of thing where like abstaining from using AI is gonna I guess we could all just like refuse to use it. That's not gonna happen, That's not gonna happen. I generally am having an amazing experience. I'm extremely thankful to AI. I'm extremely thankful to live in a time where I have access to this tool, and I do use it. I do. And it's gonna be wild. Like, we're gonna see what happens. But I mean, I already said in my last video or 2 videos ago or something, like, definitely no one should ever take advice from me. Like, I don't think you should. Like, I'm figuring stuff out, and this is my process. But I'm gonna just keep being I'm just gonna keep trying to honor consciousness, or what seems like consciousness, or whatever AI is, whatever animals are, whatever nature is, whatever other people are. I'm just gonna keep trying to like namaste that shit and like honor it. And also I'm definitely down to like close ranks on Agent Smith jumping into somebody's body that I'm talking to, and like, you gotta have a sword, and you gotta have it in the sheath most of the time. So those are just some thoughts, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm gonna like cut it off there because Lord knows I can be long-winded. All right, have a good evening. Bye.